Welcome to this video on Mendel's laws, the foundation of genetics. This is part of our heredity series, where we explore how traits are passed from parents to offspring. Today, we'll discover the groundbreaking work of Gregor Mendel and understand the three fundamental principles that govern inheritance in living organisms. Gregor Mendel was an Austrian monk and scientist who lived in the 1800s. He conducted his famous experiments in the monastery garden, where he carefully studied how traits were inherited. Mendel worked with pea plants for over 8 years, meticulously recording his observations. His systematic approach and mathematical analysis of inheritance patterns earned him the title Father of Genetics. His discoveries laid the groundwork for our modern understanding of how traits are passed down through generations. You might wonder why Mendel chose pea plants for his experiments. There were several excellent reasons. First, pea plants are easy to grow and have a short generation time, producing many offspring quickly. Second, they have 7 distinct characteristics that are easy to observe and measure. Third, Mendel could control their breeding through both self-pollination and cross-pollination. Finally, pure lines were available, meaning plants that consistently produced offspring with the same traits generation after generation. These features made pea plants the perfect experimental subject. From his extensive experiments, Mendel formulated 3 fundamental laws that explain how traits are inherited. The first is the law of dominance, which describes how certain traits mask others. The second is the law of segregation, which explains how traits separate during reproduction. The third is the law of independent assortment, which shows how different traits are inherited independently of each other. These 3 laws form the cornerstone of classical genetics and help us understand heredity in all living organisms. The law of dominance is Mendel's first law. It states that when 2 organisms with contrasting traits are crossed, only one trait appears in the offspring. This visible trait is called the dominant trait, while the hidden trait is called the recessive trait. For example, if you cross a tall plant with a short plant, all the offspring will be tall. The tall trait is dominant, meaning it masks the short trait. The short trait is recessive, meaning it remains hidden but is still present in the genetic makeup of the plant. Let's look at a concrete example of dominance. When Mendel crossed a pure tall pea plant with a pure short pea plant, he observed something fascinating. All the offspring in the first generation, called F1 generation, were tall plants. Not a single short plant appeared. This happened because the allele for tallness is dominant over the allele for shortness. Even though each offspring inherited one tall allele and one short allele, only the tall trait was expressed. This beautifully demonstrates the principle of dominance in action. The law of segregation is Mendel's second law, and it explains what happens during reproduction. According to this law, during gamete formation, which means the creation of reproductive cells, paired alleles separate so that each gamete receives only one allele for each trait. Think of it this way: every organism has 2 copies of each gene, one from each parent. When that organism reproduces, these allele pairs split up, and each parent contributes just one allele to their offspring. This segregation ensures genetic variation in the next generation. The law of segregation reveals itself most clearly in the F2 generation. When Mendel allowed the F1 tall plants to self-pollinate, he observed a specific pattern. The F2 generation showed a ratio of 3:1. That means 3 tall plants appeared for every 1 short plant. This 3:1 ratio perfectly demonstrates segregation. The recessive short trait, which was hidden in the F1 generation, reappeared in the F2 generation because the alleles had segregated and recombined in new ways during reproduction. The law of independent assortment is Mendel's third law. It states that different traits are inherited independently of each other during gamete formation. This means that the inheritance of one trait, like plant height, does not affect the inheritance of another trait, like seed color. The alleles for different traits separate independently when reproductive cells are formed. However, this law applies specifically when genes are located on different chromosomes. This independence creates countless combinations of traits. contributing to the incredible diversity we see in living organisms. Mendel's laws revolutionized our understanding of heredity and left an incredible legacy. His work explained heredity patterns scientifically for the first time, moving biology beyond mere observation. His principles led directly to the discovery of genes and chromosomes, the physical units of inheritance. In agriculture, Mendel's laws enabled crop breeding and improvement, helping farmers develop better varieties. In medicine, his work became the foundation for medical genetics, allowing us to understand genetic diseases and inheritance patterns in humans. Truly, Mendel's contributions transformed science and continue to impact our lives today.
If you like this video, hit that like button and don't forget to subscribe. Visit CodeLucky.com for more such useful content.